Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amrutangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we lead us from unreality to the reality, ignorance to the knowledge, and from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Dear devotees, if you remember the last week's class, we were able to complete the discussion of the first chapter, Samadhi Pada. Now we will be taking the Sadhana Pada, that is the second chapter. Quite interestingly, after discussing Samadhi, why we are supposed to discuss on the sadhana or on the practices. So the Indian traditional method is what? They will try to tell the spiritual practices meant for the best aspirant. It is called Uttama Adhikari, best aspirant. After discussing, if someone finds, oh, I think I am not suitable to this best aspirant, Uttam Adhikari, then they will say, all right, then we will discuss about the Madhyam Adhikari, mediocre aspirant or mediocre student. Then they discuss the nature of the mediocre student and what are the sadhanas one has to do, everything. Then if someone feels, oh, I think I am not even mediocre, I am just beginner, Manda Adhikari or Adama Adhikari, then they discuss. So for a first candidate or the best candidate, then if not better candidate, if not the good candidate. So in the first chapter, they discussed about the best candidate. Who can be the best candidate and what are the spiritual practices he can do as being the best candidate. What was the spiritual practice it was given? It was Abhyasa and Vairagya, practice and detachment. If someone of us express that, oh, just Abhyasa and Vairagya, that is practice and detachment alone is not enough for me. I think I need something else as a support for spiritual practice. That means I am the mediocre. So for them, the second chapter, that is Sadhana Pada. So before going into that, I would like to just give the nutshell, the summary of the first chapter, whatever we discussed. In the first and second sloka, 51 sutras were there. In the first and second sutra, we discussed the definition of the yoga. Atha yoga anushasanam yogaschitta vritti nirodha. So what is yoga has been defined in the first and second sutra. Then in the third and fourth, they discussed the two possible options for awareness. And in the from sutra number 5 to 11, description of the vrittis, description of the thought currents has been seen. Then from the 12th to 16th sutras, how to control the vrittis through practice and detachment has been explained from the sutras 12 and 16. Then in the 17th and 18th, the samadhi, sampragnat samadhi and asampragnat samadhi has been explained in nutshell. Then from 20 to 22nd, how to attain this samadhi also has been explained. I mean, in nutshell, then 23rd, quite interestingly, from 23rd to 29, it is quite interesting is, in the 23rd, they discussed about the nature of Ishvara, the nature of the God, and his nature also was continued till 26th sutra. Then the efficacy of the Lord's name, the efficacy of the God's name by chanting God's name or the japa during the efficacy of japa was discussed from 27th to 29th sutra. Then in the 30th and 31st sutra, they discussed due to distractions of their mind, what all things we experience, how the distraction of the mind can affect us. Then in the 32nd to 40, different type of objects of meditation we discussed, which was all based in the Samprajna Samadhi. Then from 41st to 45, we discussed different type of Samprajnat Samadhi. That is Vitarka, Vichara, Sananda, Sasmita, and other sub-classifications we discussed. Then in the 46th to 48th, I think, we discussed the fruits of this Samprajnana Samadhi and its object in the 49th. Then in the 50th and 51st sutra, in the just two sutras, how from Sampragnata Samadhi through Nirvichara, how one enters Asampragnata Samadhi. The highest form of Samadhi or the concentration or meditation was discussed in the 50th and 51st sutra. Then after discussing this, now he starts discussing for the mediocre aspirant. So I am not bad. I am not very best also. I am mediocre student. I am mediocre spiritual aspirant. So when I say best aspirant and when mediocre student, who is called best student and one who is called mediocre student or aspirant, according to Patanjali, if you ask, one who has got controlled mind, one who has got absolutely controlled mind. Or in his own language, Sattva Pradhana, whose mind is dominated by sattvic nature. Sattvic quality is the best aspirant. And the same thing has been told in the Bhagavad Gita as Arudha or Yoga Rudha. Means one who has already established to the larger, great extent, and just little progress is left out in the Bhagavad Gita language. Then mediocre student. For the best student, Abhyas and Vairagya is the sadhana as per Patanjali. Okay, if not best student, I am mediocre aspirant. For such people, means his mind is partially controlled. It is not that his mind is not at all uncontrollable, not under control at all, and his mind is not fully controlled. It is partially controlled. Or it is Rajopradhana Manas. His mind is Rajopradhana. For such a mediocre student, Kriya Yoga has been given, prescribed by the Patanjali. We shall see what is Kriya Yoga. And in the Gita language, this mediocre student is also called by name Yunjana. Then Manda Adhikari, the beginner who is called Aruruksha in the Bhagavad Gita language, that for him Ashtanga Yoga has been prescribed. Ashtanga Yoga, we speak lot, yama, niyama, asana, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, etc. So that is only for the beginner. But unfortunately, for most of us, this Ashtanga Yoga itself becomes very difficult. In most of our cases, we are duck out. At the beginning, Yama Niyama itself, many of us, we fail. And which probably, there's a quite interesting story in the Bhagavata and few other places called Jada Bharata. So there was a great king called Bharata way back, and he was a good-natured person. He was moral, he was ethical, and he was also spiritual in nature. And he also led his life, pure life, as much as possible. And he was also looking after his subjects well. Then he had children. Then children grew up. Then children were able to take up the responsibility of the kingdom. When that was the case, then slowly he handed over the responsibility to the children and he left for the forest. Because in the India, in the olden days, that was the system. Like a state of bachelorhood or bachelor life, then age 20 plus, between 20 and 25, they used to enter the married life. Before that, they used to practice studies, disciplined life, obedient to seniors, and developing skills and all. Then they, after marriage, they used to take care of the society, parents, family, neighbors, and etc. And they used to take care of responsibilities. Then, when their children grow up and when they are able to take up the responsibilities, then they used to go to the Vanaprastha, that is called forest dweller. So they used to give away all the possessions and they used to go to the forest and they used to live the simple life. And near Bharata, this great king Bharata also had went to Vanaprastha ashrama. He was a king. He had lot of riches and he used to sleep on the very soft, what do you say, bed. And he used to eat very lavish food. Many other things was there as a king, of course. Now he is just taking roots and whatever fruits are available in the forest. He himself built a thatched hut, a small hut, and he is with a bare minimal things. He is trying to lead his life. That is called Vanaprasthashrama, simple living. And he's spending his time in contemplation. He's spending his time in meditation for long hours. He was a sincere person in his spiritual practices, and he was well established in his spiritual practices also. He was quite advanced in spiritual practices, even for that matter. One fine day, a tiger attacked the deer. The deer, while saving its life, it took a jump in the forest. And while taking a jump, because it was a pregnant deer, and it gave a birth to the fawn and it died actually. It died, I think it died, yes. And this fawn was carried over in the small river or a stream. And this Bharata was sitting near the stream and he was meditating. Because he heard some sound, when he opened his eyes, he saw a fawn is just, what you say, getting carried over by the water current. Out of love or compassion, he took the fawn and he started taking care of it because of the cold and just born deer. It was shivering sort of. So he took the fawn into inside this thatched dirt and he kept near the fire and he started taking care of this fawn. Slowly, he started developing an attachment. So much so that even when he sits for meditation, in no time, his mind started thinking. His mind started thinking that what will happen to the deer, baby deer, whether it took the food or not, whether some hunter is coming and hunting it, whether some wild animal is coming and catching it. So he was carried over by the deer or fawn. So slowly, his mind started coming down, and his meditation went away. His contemplation on the self or God went away. And day in and day out, he was go on thinking about this fawn. The deer grew up, no doubt. After some time, this Bharata king passed away. Because even while passing, he was thinking about the deer. He was concerned about this baby deer or fawn. And in his next life, he took birth as a deer. But he was Jatismara. Jatismara means though he's a deer, he was born as a deer, he was able to remember all previous births, experience, or who was in his last life and all. As a result, the deer used to move in and around near ashramas, and it used to listen to the sermons of the rishis and of the gnanis. Then after a few years, he died, and again he was born. Then he was not at all bothered about in the worldly afflictions because he was careful. In this life, I have to be careful so that I will not get entangled in the worldly afflictions, just like I did during the Bharata's life as a Bharata. From childhood day, he hardly spoke with anyone. He was just, it appeared that he was absent-minded. He was always thinking about the self or the God. Obviously, his parents were not there. His brothers and sister-in-laws, they took him for granted. And they used to scold him. They used to, handle him very harshly, but he was not bothered about. And he was asked to do all physical chores he used to do, and some basic food and basic clothing was given, and very bare minimal things. But he never cared. And when they used to scold him a lot, he used to go and sit outside the house near a tree. After some time, when he felt that my brother or sister-in-law when he becomes calm, he used to come back. So it is to continue. One day, one of his sister-in-law, she became arrogant and she became very erratic in her behavior and she scolded very badly. That day, Bharata, he went out and he was sitting under a tree. Meanwhile, a king was carried in a palanquin, but unfortunately, one of the fellow who was carrying, he got sick, and they were trying to find out a right person. Then suddenly they saw this Bharata, and this Bharata was called. Before initially they asked, "Are you willing?" Before he talk anything, simply they pulled him, they forced him to carry along with them. Then after some time, the palanquin was going hither and thither. Then king got angry and annoyed and he started scolding. Then other fellow said, "Oh, this fellow is going hither and thither in a zigzag way. That's the reason this problem is happening. This is the problem." Then the king got angry and he scolded him, saying that, "Oh, fool, why do you do this? Don't you have your senses?" etc. Then the Bharata, I think first time as I recorded, that he started asking, "Oh king, you are calling me a fool. Whom you are calling as a fool? Are you calling this body as a fool? Because your body and my body is made up of same elements. So if you are calling me this body also as a fool, you will be also more or less. Then are you calling the mind as a fool? Mind is with nothing but the thoughts. It is same. Then are you calling me as a fool? That is self. Self can never be fool, etc. So he asked the questions from the Vedantic perspective, highest Vedantic perspective. When he heard all these questions, the king got astonished and he said, "He's not a common man." He got down and he asked apologies and he said, "Who are you?" Then he explained, uh, and he also explained about Vedanta. And Jada left that place, and after some time he passed away, and that was his last birth. So here you see, he finished all of his sadhana, just a small mistake, because of that his mind had come down. So this person is called the best student, for an example, because he was Sattva Pradhana fellow, but there was a small amount of sadhana was left out. In the last life, he finished it and he got liberated. So such person is called Uttama Adhikari. Sri Ramakrishna tells to one of his monastic disciple, that is Swami Abhedananji. Sri Ramakrishna said that in your last birth, you have done almost all sadhana, only little was left out. So you have taken the birth, so this will be your last life. Because in your past life, you have finished most of the sadhana. And quite interestingly, Abhedanji was quite interested in this yoga philosophy. All right. So now for the best student, best aspirant was Abhyasa and Vairagya. Then for the mediocre student, what is the spiritual practice? If you ask, according to the Patanjali, it is Kriya Yoga. Now there are a lot of institutions, foundations under the name of Kriya Yoga. So with all due respect, they have got some teachings, no doubt. So they may differ from the Patanjali Yoga's philosophy. We have to be careful. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but just I'm stating that Kriya Yoga, according to Patanjali, means it is tapas swadhyaya ishwar pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga consists three sadhanas. What is that? One is tapas, austerity, discipline. Then swadhyaya, self-study or study. Then Ishvara Pranidhana, that is dedication to the Lord. So these are the three spiritual practices given by the Patanjali for the mediocre students. And quite interestingly, if you see this, all the three, it is already embedded in the Niyama. Then why is it explicitly told as Kriya Yoga? Because mediocre student means one who has established in Ashtanga Yoga, supposed to be, then why it is being told? So why? Because these three sadhanas are enough for him to attain the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Asampragnata Samadhi. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, I should not say. It is from Vedantic terminology, Asampragnata Samadhi, according to the Patanjali. All right. Now, tapas. Tapas means it is austerity. It is disciplining the body and mind. Tapyate iti tapah, which burns, it is called tapas. So here burning is what? Here burning our ignorance, burning our afflictions, kleshas, burning our impurities. Just like when you get the golden ore, We burn it. When we burn, a lot of impurities are removed, then afterwards we get a pure gold. So similarly, our mind is also has been colored by different afflictions, impressions, thoughts, by the tapas, by the austerity, one can get purified. So, quite interestingly, and very beautiful description has been given by Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So, he speaks of three types of austerities. And now, these austerities are required for what? It is for disciplining the body and mind. We have to understand, which purifies our mind, body and mind also. So, first, he speaks of the Kaika tapas, the tapas at the physical level, at the body level. What is that? Devat Vija Guru Pragna, Pujanam Shauchamarjavam, Brahmacharya Mahimsacha, Shariram Tapavuchate. Devadvija Guru Pragna Pujanam means worshipping of the gods, worshipping of the wise people and the teachers and the enlightened ones. Devadvija Guru Pragna Pujanam. Okay. Shaucham Arjavam. Shaucham means trying to lead a pure life. Then Arjavam means what? Honesty, integrity. Whatever I say, I try to follow. Whatever I follow, I say. So there should be integrity in life or personality or character. That is what. Then Brahmacharyam. Brahmacharyam means celibacy. Ahimsa, non-violence. Shariram tapauchate. These are called austerities of the body, physical austerities. So worshipping the great people, then purity, honesty, celibacy, and the non-violence. These are the physical austerities. Then Vangmaya tapas are the tapas at the level of mind has been explained in the 17th chapter, 15th sloka. This is also quite interesting and very important. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapauchyate. Vang tapas, not sorry, not mind tapas, it is the control of speech. Vang tapas means we should be have a control over our speech. Many times we keep on loitering, we keep on blabbering. Yogasya prathamadvaram vang nirodhanam, Bhagavatam says. The first step of spiritual practice is controlling the speech. The Bhagavata scriptures are not saying that we should not talk. No, only it is trying to tell that be discriminative in your speech. Don't talk unnecessarily. Wherever there is necessary, speak. But how much ever necessary, only that much also should be spoken. In 2 sentences, I can finish it off. I can make him understand. I speak 5 or 6 sentences. That is also waste of energy. Because while talking, we are oozing out our prana shakti. So when you don't talk too much unnecessarily, then what happens? You are storing out your energy that will help you to control the mind. That's the reason. Okay, how to control our speech, if you ask? So Krishna is telling that Anudvega karam vakyam. You should not speak the sentences or the words which can cause unnecessary agitation in the people's mind. Then satyam, but at the same time, it should be truthful. It should be truthful. Then priyahitam chat. It may be truthful and it is not a pleasant one. It is not a pleasant or a beneficial. You should not speak. Better to avoid. Satyam priyahitam chat. Pleasant and beneficial. Then swadhyaya bhyasanam chaiva means trying to study or recite the scriptures. Vangmayam tapa uchyate. These are considered as austerity of speech. So by doing that, we can control over our speech. Then the third type of tapas, austerity has been spoken by the Lord, is manasa tapas. Manaprasada saumyatvam, maunamatma vinigraha, bhava samshuddhi ritetat, tapo manasa uchyate. Manaprasada saumyatvam, serenity of the mind. This is also very, very important. We have to practice. Then calmness, silence, self-control, and purity of thought. All of them are considered under the austerity of the mind. So austerity of the mind is very important. So contentment practicing, kindness, practice observing silence, self-control, and purity of thought. All these things are called austerity of the mind. So now you see, tapas is what? Trying to build the quality of a life at the level of physical level, at the level of speech, and at the level of mind. So quality of speech has been done actually. So regulating the life, regulating our mind, regulating our speech. This also includes food also. How much food I should take. Quantity and quality of food also matters. So basically from all these things, we are trying to satvicize our mind. That is the reason it is very, very important. When you do that, what happens? Our mind gets ready for meditation. I eat nicely. Food doesn't mean that whatever the food, physical food you take, even whatever things you get through your senses, every thought, every impression you receive from your sense organ, that is also called food. For example, I'm seeing a Instagram reel or a Facebook video or a YouTube video. If I'm seeing, that is also considered as food. I'm hearing some pop music or something, that is also considered as, food. And Vijnana Vikshu makes very clearly that we should try to avoid sense gratification and rather we should try to build self-discipline. By that, what happens? We become better and our mind gets control, then we become, we'll be able to practice meditation. Now, someone of us might get a question, oh, I'm not interested in spiritual practices or in the freedom or in the kaivalya and all. Is it relevant? Yes. Because to have a quality life, to have a disciplined life, to have a successful life, these things are necessary. Then again, further question might come, do you mean all successful people practiced austerities? May not be. But when you have got, your progress can be consistent and can be long term. Okay, so three practices has been given for the Kriya Yoga. First was tapas, austerity. The second is swadhyaya, study, studying good books, studying oneself. Swadhyaya, studying oneself. Studying oneself means what? Understanding my real nature. Understanding my real nature when I say what is my strength and what is my limitations. One is who am I? I'm not the body and mind. I'm the self. Understanding it, studying it through study, and we can understand. And at the psychological level, knowing my strength and limitations, knowing my strength and weakness is also very, very important. Without understanding me, I cannot handle the situations. I cannot handle persons, other persons or relationships because I don't have a proper understanding about myself, then how can we understand others? And quite interestingly, Vyasa, in his commentary, he says that even the japa of, the repetition of the Omkara also, Pranava japa is also can be considered under as Swadhyaya. Then studying of scriptures also has been considered under as Swadhyaya. Now, why study is required? Studying the scriptures, because wrong understanding is removed and right understanding is developed. The power of discernment, viveka, will be awakened, will be developed by right understanding. And through right understanding, it also gives an inspiration. And study also makes a person to keep his mind at the thought level. Otherwise, we live at the level of senses. We live at the level of the emotions. But by study, we live at the level of what you say, thoughts level. So very clearly in the valedictory function, we all got valedictory functions even these days. But even in the Gurukula, ancient Indian education system, in those days also they used to have valedictory function that is called Samavartana. So one of the pep talk was given by a teacher has been recorded in the Taittiriya Upanishad. So he gave a pep talk for the students, do's and don'ts, and few other valuable guidance. Among them, the one of the guidance was given by teacher to the student is Swadhyaya Pravachanabhyam na pramaditovyam. So you finished your degree, you finished your schooling or education, you are going and you may do any other work for your livelihood. That doesn't mean that you should stop study. Swadhyaya pravachana, studying and preaching the knowledge or sharing the knowledge with others, you should never stop. This is my command to you, the teacher says. By studying, what happens? My mind will be vigilant and my mind will be level at the thoughts, etc. And by sharing with others, my understanding becomes better. So, swadhyaya pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam. Don't leave study and preaching. Preaching in the sense, sharing your thoughts, sharing your knowledge with others. That's what we mean. It is not that everyone has to go and give discourse or lectures. Yes, sharing our knowledge with others. This is the second spiritual practice in the Kriya Yoga. The third spiritual practice is what? Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara Pranidhana is what? Surrendering oneself to the Supreme Self. So it is the dedication of oneself to the God. Dedication of our action, dedication of my body, dedication of my mind and thoughts, everything to the Lord. By submission of oneself to the Ishvara, what happens? My unripened ego will get ripened according to Sri Ramakrishna. Why we are suffering? Because of unripened ego. When it gets converted into ripened ego, then I will not suffer. That ripened ego will not bind a person, will not bring, say, bondage to the person. So for that, this Ishvara Pranidhana is at most important. And also, for example, one more thing is quite interesting is when you do any action, the action produces results. A good action produces good results, bad action produces bad results. And that results, to experience that results, again I have to take birth. If I have not finished in this life, again I have to take a birth. That's the one thing. And while experiencing the results, either good or bad, it is leaving one more impression. And to clear that impression, I have to meditate for some more time. So basically, good action or a wrong action, bad action produces good results or bad results. Both are binding, both are create bondage. So scriptures say that the bad actions results it can be compared to the iron chain. Good actions results can be compared to the golden chain. But chain is chain, both are binding us. Then if you want to be released from the bondage, then what you are supposed to do? Go beyond that. Offer the action and its fruits to the Lord. So that no more fresh bondage. Not only that, whatever existing bondage is there, when you do the karma as a karma yoga, then that karma yoga will release us from the bondage. Instead of binding, it helps us to get release. So it is like a double effect, actually. So that's the reason karma yoga is very, very important. And to practice karma yoga, I should offer my actions and results to the Lord. So this has been beautifully explained in Bhagavad Gita. Yat karoshi yadashnasi hejju hoshi dadasi yat tat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you may give as charity, and whatever austerities you may perform, O Kaunteya, do that as an offering unto me. So basically, it is spiritualizing the life, spiritualizing every action. Now, for an example, mother is taking care of the child. I mean, the child is her own child, no doubt. But while bathing, while cleaning the baby, and while feeding, she can start doing that. The God is appearing in the form of child. I am taking care of the God in this form. So even small taking care of the child can be a spiritual activity. While before we start our meal, lunch or dinner, we stand the Brahmarpanam mantra. That means what? It is reminding us that, oh, this food is not for a taste, rather it is an offering to the Lord who is in our body in the form of Vaishvanara. Even taking the food can be spiritualized. So there is a Agni called Vaishvanara in our stomach. So I'm offering the food as a sacrifice to the Vaishvanara. So the eating also can be spiritualized as the spiritual practice. So this is the beauty of the Ishvara Pranidhana. So no secular, everything is sacred and everything is spiritual. There's a beautiful book called Practice of the Presence of the Lord by Brother Lawrence, we should all read how he was joined in the monastery, in the Christian monastery. For some reason, he was not given any better work except dishwashing and floor cleaning. He did that itself meticulously, dishwashing and floor cleaning. By that, he became a great saint. So he offered every action, every thought, every minute his activities to the Lord Jesus. As a result, he became the great son of the great saint. Then, in the second sutra, Patanjali discusses the benefit and the purpose of the Kriya Yoga. Samadhi bhavanartha klesha tanukara karanartascha. This, the Kriya Yoga, is for bringing about samadhi and for weakening the afflictions to yoga. So, by practicing Kriya Yoga, what happens? The first and foremost is it is capable of bringing the samadhi, that is asampragnata samadhi. It is capable of bringing the asampragnata samadhi. One who wishes to attain asampragnata samadhi or even concentration, by practicing Kriya Yoga, one can get it. The other is weakening the afflictions to yoga. Klesha tanu karanartha, they speak. Klesha means which brings suffering to the person, from which our mind gets tormented, which our mind feel afflicted, which our mind gets pained, experience of pain or suffering. So all of them are called kleshas. And these kleshas, the afflictions, will be reduced, will be thinned, will be weakened. Now, let us think, who doesn't want? I want to be happy at all given point of time if I get a chance. All of us we want. And here there is a path. By practicing Kriya Yoga, all my afflictions will be reduced, can be destroyed, and can be, if not thinned at least. So the more and more the afflictions get weakened, I can live a happy life. I can lead the happy life. So one is attaining samadhi. Even someone say, "Oh, I'm not interested in nirvikalpa samadhi, asampragna samadhi, asampragna samadhi." You want to have the quality of the life, to have the mental peace, and to reduce one's suffering. This Kriya Yoga will help. Even if you ask the Buddha says, "Sarvam dukkham." Everywhere there is a suffering, there is a pain. That is the reason I have to understand. If there is something, there should be cause. If there's a key, there should be lock. So there is a suffering exists. Since suffering exists, there should be cause. So if you know the cause, then you will know the solution also. So that's where the Arya Sattani, the Four Noble Truths taught by the Buddha. That is based on Sankhya and Patanjali Yoga Sutras itself, actually. So here, why we are suffering? It is because of kleshas, afflictions. And if these afflictions are removed, I can be happy. You need not to be spiritual even if you are not interested. You don't want freedom. You don't want spirituality. You don't want God. Even if so, by practicing Kriya Yoga, you can lead the quality life, or happy life, or mental peace. Then what about Ishvara Pranidhana? Because if I'm not spiritual, if I'm not accepting God, can I practice? Yes, you can also practice. Swami Vivekananda gives a beautiful solution here: work for work's sake. If you don't, Swami Vivekananda says, even if you're an atheist, you can practice karma yoga. How? By developing an attitude, work for work's sake. And what are these kleshas, afflictions, which are the root cause for our suffering? If you ask, Patanjali says, there are 5 in number. Avidya, asmita, ragadvesha, abhiniveshaha, panchakleshaha. There are 5 afflictions which are root cause for our suffering. I am suffering because of my wife or husband. I am suffering because of the weather. I am suffering because of my children, or because I am suffering because of money, lack of money, or lack of job. All these things we think. It may be temporary or it may be at surface level. If you dive deep, then it is not so. So here Patanjali is giving an analysis, beautiful analysis. There are 5 afflictions which are the root cause for all our sufferings. Either maybe 1 or 2 or all of this. What are they? Avidya, the impediments to the samadhi is what? One is avidya, that is nescience. Then asmita. Asmita means ego. raga, attachment, dvesha, aversion or hatred, then abhinivesha, clinging to life, or the fear of death. So these are the five afflictions which bring the sufferings. So if you want to end the suffering, if you want to end the sorrows, then you are supposed to get away from these five afflictions. Now, what are these five afflictions has been told in the next sutra from the that is second chapter, fourth sutra, that we shall try to understand in the next class. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu.